What's up, everybody? Hey, my name is Jamie. I'm one of the coaches here in HGM, and we want to thank you so much for being part of HGM and just supporting everything that is happening and going out. Today, we're going to be talking about follow-up process. You got all of your material within the email that came out with your newsletter and all of that. But I just want to jump in. This video, we just really wanted to break some things down. This is kind of our highlighted video and topic for the month. So I'm going to give you some key reminders for follow-up, okay? The first thing would be this: an effective follow-up process is one of the most crucial processes you can have in your local church. Just think about this. Think about the future growth of your church. It's not going to happen. Your future growth is not going to happen with the people you currently have. So what does that mean? I have to be very intentional with the new people that are coming on the property, because the new people that are coming on the property are part of the future of the church. They're part of the vision that God's given us, the mission God's given us, those types of things. So an effective follow-up process is one of the most crucial processes you can have in your church. The second, just key reminder before we kind of get into the depths of things, is this: it's all about connecting people. Really what we're trying to do is not just to get those people to come back to another church service. It's to get the new guests to come back and connect to the church, because my retention rate would be higher if I can get them connected. I want them connected to a team. I want them connected to a group. I want them connected, to a Sunday school class or whatever your discipleship process may be. I'm trying to filter them into the church, not just to count them on the weekend for a weekend attendance. It's not about a number, it's about the name, right? So if I can get them connected, I now know their name, all right? Here's another one. Your guest retention rate. It's always going to be higher when you follow up with people quickly and strategically. All right, a lot of times, here's what we do. We take a brand new guest that comes in on a Sunday, and then that following Saturday, we're following up with that guest. That guest probably knows your strategy at that point. They're an afterthought. It's just kind of working through the flow of the church. You'll hear through some of the 3 points of focus when we get down in them of what HGM teaches or coaches you to do when it comes to that quick follow-up, okay? So you got to have a strategy, and you want to start implementing your strategy very quickly. So let's go to that 3 points of focus. If you got your worksheet, you can kind of flow with us through the worksheet here if you want. I may say a few things that are a little different than the worksheet verbiage-wise, but it's all the same, okay? So 3 points of focus when following up with guests. Number one, we say VIP host. It can be your guest service people, your volunteers that are focusing on those brand new people coming into the church. This is what a VIP host is. All right, we're saying that VIP host should be visible, they should be accessible, they should be inviting. Think of it like this: follow up, because that's what we're talking about. It does not start after the visit. Follow up starts before the visit. Think of it in a situation as in you have a guest that's coming to your house. So my wife, if we're ever hosting anybody, it doesn't matter even if it's my mom, she's coming in. My wife is getting ready for that guest. She's coming to our home. She's stripping the bed. She's washing the sheets. She's vacuuming. She's making sure everything is good. Why? Because a guest is coming. Treat your people like guests, not visitors. When a visitor shows up, oh, didn't know you were coming. Yeah, come on in. Things are a little messy. We're so sorry. That's the concept of a visitor versus a guest. So follow up, the statement of follow up does not start after the visit. Follow up starts before the visit is the difference between a visitor coming to your church and a guest coming to your church. Okay? So in this VIP host realm, we're going to ask you to do a few things. Number one, you want to welcome those people. All right? Introduce yourself. Smile. There's no room for Debbie Downers. Put the most optimistic, bubbly encouragers out front so that when people come on your property, they get a great first impression. We're not trying to create a show for anybody. We're just trying to be Jesus to them. Jesus wasn't rude. Jesus didn't walk around looking like he sucked on, sour lemons all morning with a sour face. That's not who Jesus was, okay? So we don't want the Debbie Downers. If your name's Debbie, I'm so sorry. But you get what I'm saying, right? And then in this whole welcome, and as people are coming onto the property, make sure that the volunteers that you have serving in this area are paying attention and not talking to one another. This is one of the things that we see across the board a lot. Volunteers will get together and they're just talking to each other and they're not identifying the guests as they come on. And a lot of times pastors are frustrated because they go, man, we had a lot of guests. We were up today. We had a lot of guests on property, but we only got 2 guest cards. And with that being said, you're probably needing to go back and say, well, who's collecting the guest cards? Who's getting those cards? Because whoever it is really not paying attention to identify the guest. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a little bit. So the second part of that VIP team is they're there to collect a guest card. Okay? You may call it a connect card, an information card, whatever it may be. I'm looking for 3 things on that card. I'm looking for a name, I'm looking for a phone number, and I'm looking for an email address. I'm not looking for anything else. I don't need people's birthday. I don't need their anniversary date. I don't even need their address right now. I can get their address through that first phone call if I need it, if I'm sending out a letter or anything like that. The less information that you have people to fill out, the greater the chance of them filling that Connect card out for you. Okay? So we're trying to collect all these guest cards from the guests. And then if you got a gift to give your guest, okay, get all the info needed from that guest before giving them that gift. It's almost like a trade-off. And there's a way that you can do that without saying, yeah, you didn't fill out your phone number. I need your phone. Don't do that stuff. Just slide them the card and say, hey, let's say I give out T-shirts at my church, okay? So I go, hey, what size T-shirt do you wear? I'm gonna make sure that we got that real quick. Oh yeah, you wear a medium. That's awesome. Go ahead, fill that out completely. While I'm getting your gift, I'm going to grab that just real quick and I'll be right back. Now, that's probably going to be in a tub behind me or, in a gift bag behind me or something. I don't have to walk off and then get that. It's going to be right there. But you see what I'm doing? I'm instructing them to completely fill out that card. That's in my verbiage when I'm sliding that card across to them. Okay? So let's say the people have come on the property, they've been identified, I've got a guest card from them, but they've got little kids with them. So what do I do next? We call it tours, okay? Or the go and show principle. Use the Marriott principle. If you got somebody, an example, that have kids, don't say, hey, I tell you what, since you got kids, go down there to the hall and it's go down, turn left at the end of the hall, past the bathrooms, turn another left, and then the next door on the right is going to be their classroom. Don't do that. Don't do that. Go with them. Show them. That's why we call it the go and show principle. It's the Marriott principle. Don't point a finger. Actually walk them through the process. Now, in order to do that, your VIP stations have to be fully staffed. So if someone's taking a guest on a tour, others are still there at the station for the next guest, okay? So that's your VIP host. The second thing is guest contact. So now I've got all the information. They've experienced the weekend service with us. Now I'm trying to follow up with that guest. The first thing we're going to teach in this portion is your follow-up shouldn't be that following Saturday. It should be within 24 to 48 hours of the service time that they came to. So within 24 to 48 hours. So if they come on a Sunday, by Monday afternoon, they're already called. You're not making calls on Tuesday or Wednesday. You're just really not doing that. You got to strike the iron. We've heard this before, right? Strike the iron while it's hot. Within 24 to 48 hours, begin your follow-up process. That's your strategy that you have. That strategy may look different at different churches, okay? Some people may text, call, send a letter, email, postcard, little written postcard from the pastor, whatever that may do or may be. Whatever it is, do that within 24 to 48 hours of the initial contact with that guest, okay? Here's why. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. People don't care how big your church is or how friendly your church is or what you think about your church. Nobody cares about that. What they care about is my kids and my family going to be taken care of at this church. That's why we're kind of pushing this 24 to 48 hours. We want them to know we care. We want you here. If you're looking for a home church, we would love to be that home church. Let's say you do an initial phone call. We live in a culture today where a lot of telemarketers and things like that they're getting our cell phone numbers, and now we just get random calls and they're trying to sell us insurance or something or medication. I don't know. They're trying to sell us all that. I'm not answering any of that. I'm not answering a phone number on my phone if I don't have it in my phone. I just don't. I don't. Now, if someone texts me and says, hey, we connected out in Oklahoma City, you gave me your number, at your earliest convenience, holler back at me, I'm calling them back because now I know who they are. So one of the strategies that we have found that helps connect that phone call, that initial phone call to that person when they don't know who you are, is shoot a text out first. So text before you call. Another thing in this point would be just be persistent. Don't give up after one failed phone call. Well, nobody answered. I'm going to move on. I guess they don't want to talk to us. Well, I mean, some people work, right? Some people are at a doctor's visit. Some people are at a school event. I mean, there's different things that come up. Be persistent. Call multiple times. It's okay. And when you call, make it personal. Again, put your best on the phone call. Don't put an introverted person that can't carry on a conversation with someone on a phone call. Put your most sociable people, your competent people on the call. And let the guest control the flow of the call. You know, if they're not talking, you don't have to carry on a conversation for 5 minutes. If they're not talking, just kind of walk through that process. Again, an extroverted person, someone who kind of understands the flow of a conversation, they're going to know how to guide that conversation, and then we're going to invite them back, okay? It's great for them to come and visit us, but that's not exactly what I'm going to say. Hey, thank you so much for coming and being with us here at Landmark Church, and it was just good to see you and your family, okay? All right, God bless you. We'll see you later. Bye-bye. No, stop. After that statement, you can say it, but give them something to come back to. Say, hey, you know, one of the things that we do for our guests monthly, this is just an example, is you could say, we have pizza with the pastor, and it's the second Sunday, and just so happen it's this coming Sunday. It's right after our church service. We'd love for you and your family to come. And matter of fact, I'm going to text you a link to that so you can get registered for that if you come. Child care is there. We're going to take care of you and your kids. It's giving them something to come back to. Okay, which leads me to the next step within this guest contact, and that's just building relationship. I'm not just trying to introduce myself to someone and not carry on the conversation where a relationship somewhat can be built. I want to build that relationship. Within your packet, you got a 5-week follow-up plan. Okay, you've got to work that. That's just an example, but work that follow-up process or that strategy with them, and don't skip a week. You prioritize what you value. And remember this, we're trying to build relationship with the people. That's the key thing, right? And then keep following up. During that 5-week process, just keep following up with the guests, even if they're not returning. Well, what about after 2 weeks, they didn't come back? Should I keep following up? Yeah. Again, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. We've literally heard testimonies through HGM of people in this system would say, man, on the 4th week, the people shows back up and goes, y'all care about us or something, because you will not quit calling and texting us. And here's what I coach people personally. Only stop the process if someone asks you to not call them again. If they clearly say, don't call me back, then don't call them back. It's okay. All right? So let's go down to number 3. We're going to go to connect points, okay? So we're bringing people back. We're inviting them to some type of event through those phone calls, but now they're back on site. So in number 3, connect points, we want you to have on-site connect points. These are weekly connect points. Let me give you some examples. Maybe a next steps counter, an information center, guest services, whatever you may call it. But this is for those brand new people. One-time, first-time guests, second-time guests, third, fourth, fifth, sixth-time guests. These are just kind of people that are not connected to the flow of the church yet. We want them to have a place where they feel like they can come and gain access to sign up for things. They may sign up for either events that are coming up at the church, groups, teams, whatever. Again, this whole follow-up process. Put optimistic, how many times have I said this, right? Fun people who love to interact with people in these types of areas, all right? And then once they get to that area, have a clear process to sign up people. Make sure that those people who are running those areas actually knows what's going on in the church. The last thing you want to do is for a guest, even if they're a third or fourth time person, it's their fourth time coming to your church. They come up and go, hey, I heard about an event that's happening at the church, and they're at the information center. They're at the next steps counter, the connect desk, whatever you call it. And the guy or girl goes, I don't know anything about that. Do y'all know anything about that? So you really have to have your ducks in a row, so to say, in these areas. It's not hard. You just got to have everything kind of put together like that. Another thing that you could do, and this would move it to a monthly thing. So we just talked about the weekly connect point within your lobby or within your church somewhere. Let's talk about a monthly connect point. That could be like a discover class. That's what we call it in HGM. You may call it a vision class, or it's really what it's doing is just introing the first-time guests or the new people that are at your church to the church vision, the mission, the values, the beliefs. That can be dinner with the pastor, or pie with the pastor, or pie the pastor in the face. I mean, I don't know what it could be, but just a monthly event where you're connecting people and they can actually hear what the vision, mission, values, and beliefs are of the church. And then you have those connect events that I would say are those quarterly events. We just went through some weekly ideas, we went through some monthly ideas, and now we're at quarterly, to where I'm just trying probably 3 or 4 times a year, I'm doing these big connect events that's really trying to connect people who are not connected to the church. And that's part of my follow-up system. I'm continually putting stuff in front of people so that they can find a spot within the local church. I've been asked before, can you give examples of what a connect event would be? Let's say like a ministry fair or a group fair. Okay, which would display. It's fun, everybody gets involved. You may have inflatables and hot dogs and all kinds of stuff, but you have your ministries, all of the things that you have going on in the church, women's ministry, men's ministry, any of the groups that's happening within your church, they're just out on display with little sign-up sheets, and those leaders of those groups or ministries are just sitting out there going, hey, we'd love for you to be part. If you're not connected, we got a basketball group. We got a Bible study on the book of Revelation. We love to have you come, whatever that may be. So that's an example. Or maybe it's just a meet and greet. So quarterly, you could do big meet and greets, and you can just invite all the guests from the last 3 months. If they were a first-time guest within the last 3 months, they're just invited to this meet and greet. We just want to share vision and talk about the future and give you some connect points because we love you. Men's nights, women's nights, marriage nights, all of those types of things I think could be very, very beneficial. Well, anyway, guys, that kind of wraps follow-up up. We hope that this teaching has helped you and your ministry in some type of way, and we just want to thank you so much for being part of HGM. God bless.